You know what's funny about dreams? We treat them like unicorns, magical, beautiful, but completely imaginary. Meanwhile, we'll spend 3 hours a week at the gym working on muscles we can see in the mirror, but 0 minutes working on the one muscle that actually can change our lives. Not that getting in shape is any slouch. It's like being a bodybuilder who only works one part of their body, like that guy from Lady in the Water that had one huge bicep. Ridiculous, right? Yet that's exactly what most of us do with our dreams. Remember when you were 8 and you wanted to be an astronaut? You probably had the whole thing figured out. You build a rocket in your backyard, blast off Tuesday morning, and be back home for dinner with moon rocks in your pockets. That kid believed anything was possible because their dream muscle was ripped. What happened to that version of you? Most people think dreams die because life gets hard, bills pile up, responsibilities multiply, and reality smacks you in the face like a cold morning alarm. But that's not actually what kills dreams. Dreams die because we stop exercising them. Just like your biceps turn to mush if you stop lifting weights, your dream capacity has been shrinking for years without you even noticing. Think about physical fitness for a moment. You can't just show up at the gym once, play with a 50-pound weight, then expect to deadlift 300 pounds the next week. Your body needs consistent training, progressive overload, where you gradually increase the weight, and recovery periods to build back stronger. Skip the gym for 6 months and watch your strength disappear faster than free pizza at a college dorm. Your dreams work exactly the same way. That 8-year-old astronaut has been doing daily imagination workouts since birth. Every day they lifted heavier possibilities, pushed through bigger what-ifs, and recovered by believing that tomorrow would bring even wilder adventures. But somewhere along the way you stopped training. You traded imagination reps for practical thinking sets. The amazing thing is that neuroplasticity research shows that your brain actually never loses the ability to form new neural pathways. Scientists used to think that your brain capacity peaked in your 20s, then slowly declined like a sad, deflating balloon. Turns out that's complete nonsense. Your brain remains capable of change and adaptation throughout your entire life. It just needs the right stimulus to start building those dream pathways again. Your imagination once lifted impossible weights. Remember when you could spend 3 hours playing with cardboard boxes, turning them into spaceships, castles, or time machines? That same brain now struggles to bench press a weekend hobby. You've convinced yourself that daydreaming about starting a business or learning the guitar is childish nonsense when you've really just let your dream muscle atrophy into nothing. The difference between people who achieve their dreams and those who permanently feel stuck isn't talent or luck or rich parents, it's mental fitness level. Some people have been hitting the dream consistently, while others haven't touched dream equipment in decades. The achievers didn't get special powers at birth, they just never stopped training. What if there was a way to rebuild that dream muscle stronger than it ever was in your childhood? What if you could combine your adult resources and experience with that 8-year-old's unlimited imagination? The good news is you absolutely can. Your brain is sitting there right now waiting for you to start lifting again. Why do some people seem to effortlessly achieve their dreams while others feel stuck watching them from the sidelines? Because they've been training in a gym that most people don't even know exists. They've been building mental strength while everyone else has been making excuses about why dreams are impractical. They understand something crucial, and that changes everything. But before you could start training, you need to understand what the dream gym actually looks like. By the way, my name's Selinger. I've spent the last couple of decades studying what it takes to make dreams come true while chasing my own, and it turns out there's been many times that I realized I needed a gym. Now, if you walk into any gym, you'll see bench presses, treadmills, and dumbbells. Each piece of equipment targets specific muscle groups and builds particular types of strength. But what does that equipment look like when you're training for your dreams? You can't just walk into a Dick's Sporting Goods or your local Planet Fitness and ask for a dream machine. The Dream Gym has 3 core pieces of equipment. And like physical fitness, each one targets different aspects of your mental strength. You wouldn't try to build your entire body using only a treadmill, right? Same principle applies for building your dreams. You need variety, you need progression, and you need the right tools for the right job. Most people try to achieve dreams using only willpower. They white-knuckle their way through motivation and wonder why they burn out after 2 weeks. That's trying to deadlift 300 pounds with no training. You'll either hurt yourself or give up before you even start. Willpower is a terrible gym buddy because it quits the moment the things get difficult. Equipment number 1 is the imagination station. This is where you practice dreaming bigger than your current reality allows. Think of it as the bench press for your mind. You start with lightweight and you gradually increase the load until you're lifting possibilities that would have crushed you 6 months ago. The imagination station stretches your vision beyond what seems reasonable or practical. Elite athletes understand this concept better than anyone. They don't just practice physically. Olympic competitors spend hours mentally rehearsing perfect performance. This visualization primes both the mind and body for competition. They're literally training their brains to expect success before their bodies even attempt action. Equipment number 2 is the self-talk trainer. This machine rewires the internal voice that's been sabotaging your progress for years. You know that voice. It's the one that whispers that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not deserving enough. Negative self-talk is like working out with a personal trainer who constantly tells you you'll never make it. Imagine paying someone to destroy your confidence every session. The self-talk trainer teaches you to recognize when that internal critic starts running its mouth. It helps you replace those destructive thoughts with supportive measures. This isn't about fake positivity or pretending that problems don't exist. It's about creating an internal environment that supports growth instead of sabotaging it. Equipment number 3 is the habit builder. This is where small daily actions compound into life-changing results over time. The habit builder focuses on consistency rather than intensity. You're not trying to transform your entire life in one afternoon. You're building the foundation through manageable, repeatable actions that gradually shape your reality. James Clear talks about atomic habits in his research on behavior change. Small, consistent actions compound over time to produce significant results. The habit builder turns this concept into practical daily workouts for your future self. What is the dream gym, and how does it work like a fitness routine for your mind? It's a systematic approach to strengthening your imagination, self-talk, and habits through progressive mental exercises. Each piece of equipment builds on different aspects of your mental fitness, creating a complete training program for achievement. Now you know what the equipment looks like, but the next part will blow your mind about how it actually works to change everything you thought you knew about failure. In the regular gym, the burn means you're building muscle. Your quads scream during that last set of squats. But you push through because you know that discomfort creates strength. But what does that burn feel like when you're building your dreams? It feels like rejection letters, failed launches, and people telling you that your ideas just won't work. Most people mistake this burn for a stop sign when it's actually the exact moment that growth begins. Every fitness journey has plateaus where progress stalls, injuries that force recovery time, and days when your motivation disappears completely. Dream fitness works the same way. You'll hit weeks where nothing seems to move forward. You'll face setbacks that feel like dream injuries, and some mornings you'll wake up wanting to quit because the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels like an impossible bridge. The moment most people abandon their dreams isn't when they actually fail. Failure is obvious and dramatic. You launch a product and nobody buys it. You audition for a role and don't get it. You pitch an idea and hear a no. Those failures sting, but they're not dream killers. The dream killer is not knowing how to use failure as fuel for the next attempt. Think about how physical trainers work. They don't coddle you when the weight gets heavy. They push you through resistance because that's precisely where growth happens. A good trainer knows that your muscles don't get stronger during the easy reps. They develop power when they're forced to work against opposition. The resistance isn't the enemy of progress, it is the progress. Man, I wish I knew this when I was 20. Studies show that people who reframe setbacks as data rather than defeats achieve their goals way more often. They treat every obstacle like a scientist collecting information rather than a victim suffering punishment. When something doesn't work, they ask what they learned instead of why they've been cursed. This shift in perspective transforms every setback into valuable intelligence for the next attempt. Your dreams aren't weak because you failed before. They're untrained because you never learned to lift the weight of disappointment. Every time something went wrong, you probably took it personally instead of treating it like resistance training. You interpreted rejection as proof that you weren't good enough instead of evidence that you were getting stronger. The method is simpler than you think. Each setback becomes a rep in your mental workout. Each obstacle becomes resistance training for your persistence muscle. Each no becomes a chance to build tolerance for temporary disappointment. You're not trying to avoid these challenges. You're using them to develop mental strength that makes future obstacles feel manageable. The people who seem to achieve their dreams effortlessly aren't lucky or naturally gifted. They're not avoiding failure or taking some secret shortcut. They're using failure as their primary training method. They learn that setbacks contain the exact information needed for breakthrough. While others quit after the first few disappointments, these people are just getting warmed up. Are your dreams actually untrained muscles that have weakened over time? Absolutely. And what happens when you treat setbacks as training opportunities instead of failures? You discover that every dream you thought was dead was just waiting for the right workout. And those dreams weren't killed by disappointment. They were hibernating until you developed enough mental fitness to carry them across the finish line. So what would happen if you actually started training consistently in this dream gym? Picture someone who's been hitting the gym consistently for a year. Their body transformed from soft to strong, weak to powerful. They carry themselves different now. They tackle challenges that would have intimidated them 12 months ago. Now imagine that same transformation happening to your dreams. What would your life look like in 1 year if you started training in the dream gym today? Let's walk through the timeline of someone who commits daily to dream fitness. Months 1 through 3 are all about building basic dream endurance. You start small because your imagination has been sitting on the couch eating mental junk food for years. 5 minutes of visualization feels like running a marathon when you first begin. But something amazing happens these first early weeks. Your imagination starts lifting heavier possibilities than it has for years. You catch yourself thinking about projects you forgot you wanted to pursue. Those dusty dreams in the back of your mind suddenly seem less impossible and more interesting. During months 4 through 6, people start noticing something different about you. Your conversations change. Instead of complaining about traffic, you're talking about the podcast you wanted to start. Instead of gossiping with coworkers, you're discussing the business idea you've been developing. You're talking about projects instead of problems, opportunities instead of obstacles. Friends ask what's gotten into you because your energy feels different. You're not just surviving your days anymore, you're designing them. The magic happens in months 7 through 9 when the first major breakthrough occurs. A dream you've been training finally becomes a reality. Maybe you launch that side business, publish that article, or take that trip you've been planning for the last 3 years. The moment it happens, you realize this dream gym thing actually works. It's not just motivational fluff or wishful thinking. You've built enough mental strength to carry the dream across the finish line. Months 10 through 12 reveals something unexpected. You're not just achieving dreams anymore. You're helping others discover their own dream gym membership. Friends ask how you've made such dramatic changes. Coworkers want to know your secret. Your success gives others permission to dust off their own forgotten dreams. The deeper truth emerges in this final phase. The goal was never just to achieve specific dreams. It was to become the kind of person who makes dreams happen as a natural way of life. You've developed the mental fitness that turns possibilities into plans and plans into reality. Achievement becomes less about lucky breaks and more about consistent training. You've rewired your brain to expect progress instead of accepting stagnation. Think about this for a second. You spent years building a body you can see in the mirror. You've invested time, money, and effort into physical fitness because you understand the connection between training and results. But imagine building a life you could see in your dreams. Imagine developing the mental strength to turn imagination into achievement with the same reliability that bicep curls build arm muscle. That's what 1 year of dream fitness creates. A version of yourself that doesn't just wish for better circumstances, but actively creates them through systematic mental training. Your dreams aren't too big. Your muscles are just too small. But unlike your teenage metabolism, this is one thing that actually gets easier to build as you get older. You have the resources that an 8-year-old never had. You understand systems, you've developed discipline, and you know how to stick with things that matter. Start with just 5 minutes a day in the dream gym. Do one visualization exercise where you see yourself succeeding. Practice one positive self-talk session. Build one tiny habit that moves you forward. That's it. 20 years from now, you'll either be living the dreams you're training for today, or you'll be making excuses about why other people get to live theirs.